Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, where every journey starts with a little bit of magic.
Welcome to episode 21 of Castles to Cauldrons. I'm your host, Jason Davis. I'm joined with Rachel and Terry tonight. Micah somehow got sick. I guess there's something going around the podcast. So, Terry, you're up next week. And then,
oh, God, please don't say that.
We're officially of drinking age. The podcast is of drinking age.
Yes, we are.
Oh, wow.
Micah, we hope you feel better, and we want to see you next time. This week, we're going to do our brackets for the March Madness that is officially over. So our March Madness brackets, it's going to be pretty fun. I'll let y'all, we'll kind of get to that here in a minute. We're going to start with some news like we usually do. First is a pat on the back for me. A couple of weeks ago, I went on a rant about how Disney needs to open both water parks if you're going to advertise 6 theme parks in your advertising, and they listened.
It was because I went to our Disney rep and I said, I have an agent, Jason, who says Disney has 2 water parks. They advertise it as 2 water parks, but only one of them's open at any given time. Why aren't both open?
Yeah.
And she heard, and look what happened. Our Disney rep is making changes, and I love it.
We thank you, Lauren. The fun thing was that Disney decides to announce this on April Fool's Day. And everybody's like, is this real? Because the water park's been closed, like we said on previous episodes, since COVID. At least one has been open. The other one's been closed on and off. So Blizzard Beach still is going to be closing for a brief refurb, but it will reopen on May 21st through September 13th. And we talked a little bit with the dining package last week that we think that has a lot to do with Epic Universe. I think this also kind of is coming along with Epic Universe. Hey, we've got 6 theme parks. They've only got the 4. You know, we can kind of play this game a little bit more with them.
And it's reopening the day before Epic comes out or Epic opens.
And on top of it, you have the free entry into one water park if you have booked a resort stay package. So that's on the day of check-in. So now you don't have to 100% going to Typhoon. You can choose which one you want to go to. I think it's a win for all of us. Like, I've never been to the water parks. I do not look good in a bathing suit. Don't want to look like a beach whale. That's my stance. I'll stay away from those water parks just for y'all's sake.
I think it's good that they're doing it for like the summer months as well, because I think they realize that there's going to be an uptick of attendance at the water park. They're going to need the capacity. If they're offering the free water park on arrival day, you know, they're going to have another park to be able to satisfy the need.
Yeah. Before we started recording, me and Terry were talking about how it was like 90 degrees already. And it's probably like 120 degrees down in Florida. So this getting into the water park on that day you check in, being able to relax a little bit before you go into full mayhem.
I do like it on the arrival day, like Rachel was talking about, and you mentioned too, because a lot of times on that arrival day, whether you fly or drive, you kind of get there and you're like, well, if it's a half a day, should we buy a park ticket? Because we don't want to waste any time on this vacation, but we kind of need to rest up, like you said, Jason, before the mayhem starts. So here's a nice thing that we can do. We can, mom and dad can kind of sit back and relax a little bit because, well, I don't go down water slides and really play in water parks, but some people might. While the kids play and get some energy out from being cooped up, whether in a car or airplane, and you kind of get your vacation started on like a more relaxed, mellow tone than sometimes hitting the park. You have all good intentions of flying in and landing and hitting the parks, but that's a long day. You know, but you want to make the most of your vacation. So I think this is a really good move. And I think Epic opening, like we said earlier, it's only benefited the consumer as far as Disney is concerned, because they're kind of up in their game with discounts and opening both water parks and everything so that their customers can, or, you know, people visiting can get the most for their money and choose Disney over Epic in some fashion.
And this also is lead over to the Halloween season. So Disney starts doing Halloween in August. So this would be a good go into the water parks when you get there, have some fun, relax, let the kids run around, really get some stuff out, go get dressed back at the room into your costumes, and go back into Not So Scary that night for your first night. So you still have a full day of stuff that you can do, but you're not wasting a day either. Second big piece of news that is also, in my opinion, an answer to everybody going to Universal. Airport baggage drop off has returned to the value resorts right now. It's only for Southwest Airlines. You must check your luggage before 1 a.m. if you have a 1 p.m. flight or earlier. After flights for 1 p.m. or later, you have to check your bags at least 4 hours before or 1 p.m., whichever one comes first. So if you have a 7 p.m. flight, you have to have your luggage turned in by 1 p.m. But if you have a 4 p.m. flight, you can 4 hours before that. So it's a good thing. When this was announced, the term Disney bubble has reappeared in Walt Disney World for the first time in a long time. And I think that's a positive thing for Disney and for Walt Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think they're starting small and only with one airline and only with the 5 resorts. Do I think it's an answer to Epic a little bit? Maybe. But I also think they're bringing back the value of a Disney vacation. This was something that was already in place. They took it away and now they're bringing it back because people realize that the value is not what it used to be.
So here's why I say I think it's kind of a response to Epic. I don't think it's full on Epic response like we have to go. This is going to save us. If you have your luggage picked up from Disney, it's easier for you to stay there the entire time. I'm flying in, taking my luggage, and I'm going to drop it off for them to carry it back. I think it's one step to bringing back Magical Express.
If it was like the after 1 p.m. thing, like 4 hours before, after 1 p.m., I don't know, or before 1 p.m. I just feel like I just leave my stuff at Bell Services, so it doesn't really matter. And when I get an Uber from my resort, I mean, I guess it stops you from having to go back to your resort if you're in the park.
This isn't what Magical Express was to begin with. Let's also make sure that's clear. This is not like you drop your bags off and then they magically appear at your room right now. This is just you're dropping your bags off at the value resort that you're staying at, and they show up at your home airport when you get there.
I think that's kind of maybe where Disney needs to focus right now. Agreeing with Rachel, because one thing Disney does better than anybody else is service and like concierge type service. Like she said, she can drop her stuff off at Bell Service and then she goes and does what she wants until her Uber gets there. And I've never dropped anything off at Disney and worried about it not being there when I got back. And I mean, we've had laptops in there and we don't carry anything expensive to Disney, but everything you need for the week is there. We've had strollers dropped off. We've had groceries dropped off, everything. And it all is magically never disappeared. There's never been a wrong order gone to the wrong room. So I think Disney is doing a great job of getting back to what Disney does best, and that's just service. They always, before COVID, and since COVID still, but a little bit less, they've outdone everybody on service. And that's what makes the Disney bubble, is that basically if you want it to happen within reason, it happens. It's magical. You want to buy a souvenir and it's sent back to your room, you could do that. You don't have to carry it around a park all day.
I do bring that back though. Like,
yeah,
I think you can still buy something and it gets sent to the front of the
front
park
gate now.
But I want to be able to buy something and have it shipped to my room and not have to even worry about going to I forgot I had to stop by Emporium
exactly.
and pick up my 16 bags of buying stuff from all over this park.
You have a kid. I have 2 kids. It's we're getting it when we're 10 o'clock at night. We're getting on the bus. Everyone's tired. I've got to pack up the stroller to get on the Skyliner or the bus or what. Last thing I want to do is put 3 bags in my hands in addition to everything else I'm carrying. So I think if they bring back the concierge service, that kind of puts it a little, gets that little nudge. Like we could go over, we could stay at Universal Resorts and then take a trip over to Disney, but Disney Resorts will do all this other stuff for us that Universal doesn't do. So we'll stay at Disney maybe, and then just spend a day at Universal, but come back and spend the majority of our time at Disney because their service and their resorts and everything are so much better than what Universal offers.
I agree. I mean, I think Universal is working their way to a Universal-ish bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never going to be like Disney's bubble was. And like Disney has to get that bubble built back up. Like you have to be able to drop your bags off. I don't know if you ever saw those stories on Facebook or heard from other travel agents of people who would leave their bags on the front door because they thought Disney picked up the luggage from their front door. That's the Disney you need to get back to, is people think that Disney's going to come to your front door, pick your luggage up for your Disney vacation, and it's going to show up in your hotel room. Now we know that it was you drop it off your airline and they put it on the plane and you don't see it until you check in. But that was a Disney bubble. That's what I want to see back. And Universal knows they have to pay Mears to get you to come from a Disney resort over, or you have to take an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so hard just to go through all those steps of calling Mears and saying set up your times to be picked up on the day you want to go there, and then the time you want to be picked up to go back to your resort. Third and final news story that I have is it's a long time coming. Toy Story Land, Woody's lunchbox finally got some shade after 3 years of being constructed. They've put a Rector set, I guess, on top of this seating area, and they, for some reason, California Imagineering decided, hey, they don't need any shade in this land anyway. And it took them 3 years to build, let's just say, a pavilion. I mean, for lack of better terms, my biggest thing is that it took Disney 3 years to build a pavilion when Epic was built in like 4 years, a whole theme park. And it took Disney this long to build something so small.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of it and I thought, wow, that took that long to erect. I don't know. I just think that could have went up like in a week. Like already have it built, put it together overnight, something.
Yeah. It
I
should have
didn't
been
think
like,
that it.
you walk into the park and it's there like, oh, they put this here. That's great.
Right. Yeah. It looks that simple that it should have been that simple. Either they overthought it. I don't know. Didn't think it enough, but for what it looks like, I don't think it was worth 3 years, even a year.
Toy Story, like I mentioned, none of that land actually had decent shade. I think the only ride that had really good shade was Alien Swirling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's underneath.
Yeah, and you had a little bit of shade for the last like 30 minutes of your wait in Slinky Dog.
Oh, because they have the umbrellas.
Well, even then, like they brought those out after the fact, but you go under.
Oh, yeah, you're underneath the.
You have one side that you do a switchback through, and then you're going into
right.
the load mode. So it was very much a second thought on, hey, we need to put shade in this area. So hopefully when they move Imagineering down to supposedly move Imagineering to the old Galactic Star Cruiser, some of this stuff starts getting fixed and they build shade in Cars Land and the supposed Villains Land.
Well, it just makes you wonder, even if it was engineered in California, you feel like someone in Florida should have been like, hey guys, the 7th level of hell down here sometimes. We got to have some shade. It seems like a really small thing that got overlooked. I mean, anyone, I feel like during the process could have been like, hey guys, do you think we need some trees, the sails like you see at playgrounds, anything like that would help, especially when they first opened with Slinky Dog Dash, the lines just wind around and around, it's hot. And I would say Toy Story Land is probably the hottest place in Hollywood Studios at any given point.
Well, yeah, they fixed Slinky Dog pretty fast. They put some tarp type shade structures in that extended queue and it works, but they still have the eyesore of green umbrellas lining up half of the fence line.
Yeah, that's not something you want to see. I was just saying it looks like exactly what it is, and it's afterthought.
Yeah,
it doesn't blend in with the land.
And it goes also with Star Wars. When you go into Galaxy's Edge, like Oga's Canteen, they have the red umbrellas.
Mm-hmm.
That because they didn't put any shade for people waiting to go in there, and it's like, why is this such an afterthought in Florida?
Honestly, I just always assumed, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I assumed that that's because that's how Star Wars
aesthetics.
Yeah, terrain didn't lend itself to like trees and things like that. But
it does, because the outside and where Rise of Resistance has trees. So you're just in the city center of this outpost, and it's like, okay, they should have shade though, because you do walk through the marketplace and there's shades in the marketplace. I just wish they would have done something. I always sound anti-Disney, and I'm not anti-Disney. I just want Disney to
do better.
Disney is the reason I love the theme park, and to see them struggle so much on little things like this, because they are so much, and they preach that their attention to detail when they design these things. It's like, if your attention to details there, then you're not going back. It's been
7 years.
I still can't believe it's that long.
Yeah, but why did it take 4 years to go, hey, we're going to build shade now? And then why did it take 3 years for them to build the shade? That's, if your attention to detail is there, that should have been fixed within 6 months.
Well, Star Wars Land opened August of 2019. like they didn't learn their lesson from Toy Story.
Because once again, Star Wars was designed for Disneyland, put it into Hollywood Studios. Disney, like you go into Galaxy's Edge, it's the same layout besides a couple of little spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a third entrance by Big Thunder that we don't have, but the A-Wing's still there. They moved it across the way over there, if I remember right. But other than that, it's the same exact layout. They save money by saying we're going to design it for both parks, and then
Yeah.
don't think about plumbing when it comes to trying to get water out. That's why we have flooding in Florida in Galaxy's Edge. They don't think about the hotness, so that's why we don't have shade. It wasn't designed into California's. It's not going to be designed into ours. That's my rant. I'm not going to make this a habit.
Well, I also think Disney suffers from kind of just being itself because they have set the standards so high. Like you said, they're the reason you love theme park. They're the reason why when you go to other theme parks, you're like, oh, well, this sucks. But it's not Disney, so I'll let it slide. But since Disney has put themselves at the top tier, you can't let things slide because you're like, hey, you set the standard and then you often exceed your own standard. So that's what the expectation is. It's like the kid that makes all A's.
But,
if he makes an A-, you're kind of like, what happened? But the kid that makes C's, if he makes an A-, you're like, oh, you did great, you know?
And that's the thing is Disney's just cocky. I mean, we do it and we do it the best. So we're going to take 3 years to build one shade structure. We're going to spend 5 years to build a replica of a roller coaster. We're going to spend 5 years building a parking garage. You still are top of your game, but down the road, you have some amazing lands being built in Harry Potter. And you have, you know, what we're hearing from Epic Universe of these lands being so epically themed that Disney's not batting an eye. They're not like, okay, they're not dangerous to us. Those people are listening to what the consumers want. Universal's like, okay, we're building this for Florida, and Disney's just like, you're still not going to touch us. We're number one, and I think Disney will stay number one in all projections with theme park attendance. It's going to take Universal something big or somebody build something huge to take Magic Kingdom off the number one theme park in the world. For a while, their Universal theme parks were jumping up in those attendance, and it wasn't because Disney wasn't good. It was because Universal was doing stuff a little bit better when it came to building their attractions and rides.
I agree.
I will mention something, though, from last week I forgot to say. When you are booking a Universal trip or Epic, the top 3 hotels, so Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, and Portofino, those unlimited express passes are not including Epic. So those are for only the 2 legacy parks they're next to. They do not include Epic, so you have to buy the unlimited express, not unlimited, the Epic Express Pass if you want to use Express over there. So I want to make sure I clarified that from last week. I realized I didn't say that. So we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with our bracket.
Are you dreaming of your next adventure but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 22 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at www.magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you are listening to.
And we're back. March Madness. Every podcast has a tradition of doing the same cliche thing and doing their own bracket for something. So we're going to do it too. Just hop on the bandwagon. We just scratched our heads and figured out what would be the best topic for us to do. Everybody does like resorts or what's the best ride, what's the best restaurant, what's the best snack. We figured we go the opposite direction, and where does everything go out is the bathroom. So we're doing the best bathrooms in Walt Disney World. So what we're going to do is we've picked 4 bathrooms from each theme park, and we're going to battle them out, debate them, and see which one comes up on top. So where do y'all want to start? Do y'all want to start Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom?
Let's go with Epcot.
So for our first matchup, we didn't seed anything. We're just going to throw these things out there. So the first matchup is going to be Norway versus Germany. So Norway, the bathrooms are right there next to in between Frozen, Ever After, and the Frozen meet and greets, the Summer House. And Germany, where are they? They're right by the train station.
They're not by the Biergarten.
The Biergarten. When you get all those grapefruit beers, you got to go pee. My vote, do we just throw them out there?
Yeah, let's just
I choose Norway because they're hidden. Not many people know about them. They're always clean. And when you drink margaritas in Mexico, It's the closest bathroom that you have.
Rachel,
I'm
which
gonna
one?
go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Norway as well. I just like that they're kind of tucked away, and Terry's right; they are pretty clean.
I agree. I think Germany is nice. They're, but the thing is that they're right next to the walkway. So it's that Morocco. Both of them are right at the walkway, so people go into them. It stays pretty busy, but being kind of hidden away, it's nice. The next one we have is the American Pavilion, or the Odyssey bathrooms that are inside the Odyssey, not the outside Odyssey. Rachel, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna go with the American Pavilion. I like that they're kind of on the side. I feel like when I'm doing that walk, that stretch, there's not a lot of shade, but that bathroom, it's like it cools down. I like those bathrooms over there.
All right, go ahead, Jason, since we did last time.
I'm thinking Odyssey, so I'm going to make Terry be a tiebreaker. But inside the Odyssey is going to be my favorite, mainly because it is probably the least crowded bathroom in the park. It's right there when you walk inside. If you're coming from Test Track side to your left, I went in there. I was the only one in there. It was great because you didn't have to wait in line for anything. It's just there, and there wasn't a line for the women's bathroom or the Odyssey inside. Odyssey outside, no. I hate those. They're no. So Terry, what's yours? Tiebreaker.
The onus is on me. I hate it, but I'm gonna have to go with the Odyssey inside, just because there's not a lot over there. As we learned from the Guardians of the Galaxy, sometimes maybe they need to put bathrooms inside of the queues so people don't make messes in the lines. But on that side, I feel like it's always a little, without going into a building, like you're going into where Soren is, or you're going into the Seas, but Odyssey is a good, like you said, they're never busy. And I think as a female, that counts a lot for cleanliness, is the less people that go in there. But the Americas is a close second, because no one really goes in there either.
I was going to say that. Especially
keep that in the back of your mind.
If you're in the middle of a festival or something like that, the line for the food booth that's right there in front of them, that usually covers it up. Or if Santa's doing his meet and greet there at Christmas, it definitely covers up that area, and there's all the seats and everything. So it is a very good secluded bathroom, but this one's fully air conditioned, it's fully inside. So if you're
honestly, I didn't know that bathroom in the Americas was there for the longest time.
All right, where to now?
We could do
Animal.
magic. Oh, we could do animal. Yeah.
All right, Animal Kingdom. Let's start with the bathrooms in Asia at Everest versus the ones next to the Cali River Rapids.
I'm choosing the Rapids just because there's water play there that my kids play in. We always do the Rapids. I feel like it's maybe the water makes me have to pee more. I always use them, and they're fairly clean. So we'll just say the Rapids.
I've never been to the Rapids one. Rachel.
I'm going to go with Everest, just because I like the theming over there better.
She's got a point.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Rachel and be the tiebreaker here because I like Everest. The theming's good. It is on the walkway, but it's also kind of off the beaten path a little bit. So people aren't really looking for it so much. They're hightailing it to Everest to ride that, or they were going around to Dino Land. So I'm choosing Everest. Pandora, this is specifically the bathrooms when you first come into the land and they're on your left, or the bathrooms back in Africa as you're coming off of the safari. But Rachel.
Pandora, hands down. I just like them better. I think I use them the most often in Animal Kingdom. That's probably why I like them the most. And you come around like that section, the VIP, it's usually where you come in on a VIP, and it's the first bathroom right there. So that's probably why I go with them so often.
We could have been really
little flex right there.
Like
little flex.
the bathroom inside of Flight of Passage instead of on top of one of these two. But yeah, Terry.
Pandora, hands down.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one too. Africa, I like Africa's. It's convenient, but at the same time, like I said, it's the exit of the safari, and
It's super busy.
You're on the ride for 20 minutes most of the time. So all those people that are coming off, it's always going to be packed, and you just.
And they have street performers there, and it's really good to watch, but like,
it's crowded.
Hey, you and the kids watch the street performers. I'm going to sneak off to the bathroom. I think a lot of people do that, But I do have to give Animal Kingdom credit because it's the hardest to find their bathrooms. The theming is so good sometimes that you really have to look for their bathrooms. They're not just, they blend in very well.
They do. Yeah, I agree.
That is the only theme park in Disney World that allows you to lock the doors, because if the animals get out, they don't want them to come and eat you. So they know how to come in and get all the people into the bathrooms, lock the door, and keep you safe. So let's go to Hollywood Studios. I'll start with the Sunset versus Star Wars. And we're talking about, for Star Wars, the entry when you go from Toy Story Land, the bathroom's right there. I am going to pick the Sunset Boulevard bathrooms that are on the side street in between the shops. It's on your right if you're walking toward Tower.
I don't like those bathrooms.
Why not?
Because they're dirt. I feel like they're dirty and they're crowded.
See, I feel like those are like the ones next to Tower and Rock and Roller Coaster. That one that's down in the little structure. I think those are dirtier.
Oh, that's the one I thought you were talking about.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one there's a side street. It used to be the Planet Hollywood store.
Are you talking like right next to Rock and Roller Coaster on the left-hand side?
No.
When you're facing the guitar?
When you're looking at Tower of Terror, you go, there's two stores on your right. Sorry.
Down there.
Yeah, I said at your left. I meant right.
So like if I'm in front of I'm walking up, Terra's there, I'm like going down the hill to the right.
Yeah, there's like it looks like a loading dock is what it's supposed to be themed as. So there's a little ramp, but it was the old Planet Hollywood store, and then I can't remember what the store is now right next to it, but it's across from the candy store.
I thought you were talking like the ones like right at if you're coming out of Fantasmic, they're kind of like right there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And it does look like a loading dock, and they're crowded and dirty.
When you come out of Fantasmic, you're coming out at the front of the park, though. Okay, so my vote was Sunset, and both said no. But see, I feel like while the Star Wars one is nice, and it's not as busy as the one in the marketplace, it's still busy.
I'm gonna go with Star Wars.
And Terry, I'm
Star Wars.
I just like the theming, hands down. Sunset Boulevard has no theming. It's literally a boring bathroom. At least Star Wars, it's themed correctly.
And I think as a female, when you see a bathroom down an alley, no matter how clean it is, you kind of get the heebie-jeebies, just like going down an alley to a bathroom.
Sketchy.
All your even in Disney World, all your red flags pop up. Like, don't want to have to pee that bad.
Okay, so Star Wars wins that one. The next one's going to be Frozen Ever After bathrooms and the Toy Story / Pixar Place. Frozen Ever After, that's the exit bathrooms, right? Over there next to the theater, in between the two theaters, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been in that one. Toy Story Pixar, that's the one on the corner when you're first going to turn into Toy Story Land. Then you have Pixar Place right in front of you. Rachel, which one?
I'm going to go with Toy Story Land on the corner.
I'm going with Frozen just because in that area, that's the only one I can ever find. I feel like if I'm coming out of Indiana Jones or something, I just run to it.
I'm going to go with Toy Story Pixar. I think it's fairly busy usually, but it's all
very convenient.
Very convenient, very clean. All right, so we'll go to Magic Kingdom, Gaston versus Storybook Circus. And the Storybook Circus one is the railroad station bathrooms. Gaston's is the one that's actually behind Gaston's Tavern. So Terry, which one?
This is the hard one because I do like the one at Gaston's Tavern because they're kind of tucked away. And I do like the ones at Storybook. I'm going to go with Storybook just because they're less busy. And I don't know. I feel like as a mom, I'm always, when my kids are really young, I was always down there with them. And those were always really easy to like change diapers because they weren't very busy. You didn't feel
rushed.
Like they were gross. Yeah. So I'm going to go Storybook.
Okay, Rachel?
I'm going to go with Storybook. I'm just, like Terry said, they're not that busy. I think it's easy to, once you're back there. I like the whole area. I feel it's an underrated area back there.
I think it's fair to say that neither one of these are completely busy. Like you can probably go in there and do your business as quick as you can without waiting anything. But the ones I'll agree with also being Storybook, because I do think it's themed better. Like I think Gaston's is because it's tucked away. They just kind of put it there. kind of weird too when they had the Gaston's meet and greet.
I was gonna say Gaston's always there. I mean, not always there, but yeah, his if he's
It was
there.
weird having like Gaston 20 feet away from, the bathrooms. So you walk out of the bathroom and there's this long line for Gaston, and you're like, oh, am I getting in line for Gaston or what?
Because it's the line to the bathroom.
All right, the final first round pick is going to be the tangled bathrooms versus the pass-through bathrooms for Adventureland into Frontierland. This is right before you get. There used to be a Sunglass Hut right there. It's right after, I think it's Citrus Swirl. That's the ice cream that's sold there with the orange bird. That's right past.
Yeah.
And Skipper Canteen. There's that little pass-through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Tangled.
Why?
I'm going with theme over function right now because I do think they're better themed. They are super busy, while there's a way and there's another photo stop right here, right? You have that lantern, the floating lantern picture where people are standing in line in front of a bathroom to take a picture with their loved one with a floating lantern. It's kind of weird. And then you have all these wedding pictures from fairy tale weddings with the bride standing in front of bathrooms, but they're nice. And it's a nice little area on top of it to sit. But the bathrooms, I think they went above and beyond for just decorating. They're probably the best looking bathrooms on property. Terry.
I'm going to have to go to the pass-through bathrooms because they're always clean. It's always convenient. It's a big, wide berth there it doesn't get congested in there. So you like park your stroller or whatever, you go in there with your kids, you come out. Or if you're single, you don't have any, it's real quick, real in and out, always clean. And I love the theming of the Tangled, I will say. You're right. They are more beautiful, but as a female, I got to go with cleanliness above all else.
I think they're like it's the frying pans. I don't know. I've not been in the female bathroom, obviously. But the frying pans they have above the sinks in the men's bathroom, I assume they have them in the women's bathroom too. It's just kind of cool that they've thrown that all in there. All right, Rachel.
I do love the Tangled theming, but the functionality, how busy they are, how it's a cute little area, but it's filled with strollers. Like it's tough. It's like, it gives me anxiety having to go in that little section. It's just too crowded for me. I'm going to go with the pass through based on functionality, cleanliness, in and out. Like, I don't want to wait 10 minutes to get into a stall.
Jason, I don't know as a male if you feel this way, but as a female, there's nothing better than walking through a restroom and seeing two corridors of stalls.
Yeah.
So like you have 1, 2 over here, and then it wides, and 1, 2 over here. So you have like 4 lanes of stalls to choose from. That's
like the best, the best type.
Yeah.
Ours.
Rarely are there lines.
Yeah, we just
when you have that
usually
many.
have a wall of urinals and then a wall of stalls, and then on either side, the other wall would be the sinks. So it's kind of.
And sinks are always clean in there too, I feel like. But yeah, when you have 2 corridors of stalls, like if these are full, you walk around here and some of these are empty, it's the best.
And I think now that we've gotten this far, we need to preface that when we say dirty, we're talking like Disney dirty, not like Dollar General dirty or something like that. This is like they haven't cleaned it in 15 minutes. They haven't cleaned it all day. All right, next round. So we're going to go back to Epcot. So it's going to be Odyssey versus Norway. Terry.
Norway.
Why?
Because they're tucked away, and
so
I feel
Odyssey.
like
Odyssey's more tucked away than Norway.
I feel like we're just going to repeat ourselves now.
Yeah, I was going to say, around the world, there are strategic places where you have to pee. And Norway is one of my favorite. Because not every country has a bathroom. Like Mexico. Why don't they have a bathroom?
Inside.
Yeah, Mexico has one inside. Yeah.
And they have one on the other side, too.
But if you drink at the outside, if you go to the outside little bar to get burger, I don't know. I like Norway. They're tucked away, they're clean. Like Rachel said, we're just going to repeat our arguments here.
I mean, that's the point of it, though, is you got to sell each other. Okay, Rachel, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Norway. I'm going to go with the ease of use. Like Norway, it's on the way. I'm like, cool. I feel like if I'm not going to go on test track, I'm not going to go over to the Odyssey side. So that restroom is out of its way for me. Norway, I'm passing. It's on the way.
I would have chosen Odyssey.
Of course you would, because you picked it.
Yeah. That's my favorite hidden gem.
Yeah, it's like My Flying Fish, but you have the Odyssey bathroom.
It's not.
The Odyssey
I'm not that
bathroom.
obsessed with this bathroom.
The hill you'll die on.
All right.
No, we all know the Muppets or the hill you'll die
Yes.
on. We know the Muppets.
What about Animal Kingdom? It's going to be Everest bathrooms versus the Pandora bathrooms. So, Rachel.
I'm gonna go with Everest because I just like how it's blended into that wall. I just like the theming of it. It's very incognito.
Terry.
No, we'll let you go this time since that way the onus is the way you get your opinion. It's different.
Yeah, we don't need to be in the tiebreaker.
I was going to say Everest.
Oh, see, I was going to say Pandora, so like you would have been the tiebreaker.
That's what makes it good, though.
Everest goes through.
So Everest.
But you went last time, so I didn't want the same thing to happen again.
All right. Hollywood Studios, Star Wars versus Toy Story Land. I guess I'll go first on this one, and I'll do Star Wars. And I'll say it because I like the theming of Star Wars better than I like the theming of this one. The Pixar Toy Story bathrooms look like a corporate bathroom versus going into Star Wars. It's pretty good, pretty well themed. Terry.
Star Wars, because I've never had to wait there. The theming and it's clean.
All right, Rachel.
I'm going with Star Wars, just the theming alone. And I do feel like the entrance to Toy Story bathrooms, they're like elementary school vibe.
I was just saying
high school.
The tile.
Like it just reminds me of being in like a school bathroom.
These little square tiles and things.
Yeah, it's always busier too. Like if you're looking at the two, that one's.
Well, it's obvious.
Yeah,
like it's right there at the.
It's in a great spot.
So yeah, I think that one's good. Magic Kingdom then is going to be the Storybook Circus versus the Pass Through. Rachel.
Why did you pass through? Because I think it's easier accessible. Like, Storybook, I got to be in that section. Pass through, I can get it on both sides.
Terry.
I'm going to say the pass through because just like Rachel said, I didn't even think about it until she said it. I go through the pass through a lot more than I go down the Storybook. And again, clean, convenient, don't have to wait. It's there.
See, I use the pass through more often than I do the Storybook, but I was going to pick Storybook just because I think it's so out of the way. It's nice, and that's a newer area. But my opinion on that one didn't matter. All right, so we got the top bathrooms from our point of view for each park. So it's Norway bathrooms in Epcot. It's the Everest bathrooms in Animal Kingdom, the Star Wars bathrooms in Hollywood Studios, and the pass-through bathrooms in Magic Kingdom. So now we're going.
Who's battling who?
We're going to go the pass-through versus Norway. For our theme aspect, Norway. I think it blends itself in well over in Norway. You wouldn't know they're there because it's behind the chapel or the church. The green grass roof, everything like that. It looks nice from the outside. You don't know they're there if you're passing by unless you see people going in there. The pass through, I think it gets more congested there than it does in Norway. So Norway is my answer, Terry.
I'm going to go with the pass through. She's all reliable. I mean, like for all the above mentions, I mean, I probably use that one in Magic Kingdom literally more than anything else. So gotta stick with my girl.
I'm the tiebreaker and I'm going with Norway.
Awesome.
Norway. The theming. I enjoy the theming of this bathroom.
It is nice, very nice.
Yeah, I think they're both good bathrooms, and I think pass through is more convenient in the long run because a lot of people walking back and forth through it. But at this point, it has to be theming over everything. So then we have Everest versus Star Wars. Rachel.
Star Wars theming. Like, I just keep thinking about the mirrors and how, like, they're speckled and, like, the sinks are and the blow dryers.
Yeah.
Like, I just really, like, it's a rustic feel, but, like, I like that it just carried into the restrooms.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago when you go in the bathroom. The only way they can be older is if they're just holes in the ground. Terry?
I'm going to go Star Wars for the same reasons. It's just hidden away, clean, and you can't beat the theming. You feel, I don't know what it really feels like to be in Star Wars universe, but I imagine that's what it's like.
I was picking Star Wars too.
Oh, good.
I like Everest bathroom, but Star Wars is it. All right, so the final two will be Norway versus Star Wars.
That's a battle right there. Elsa versus.
Yeah.
Luke
Or
Skywalker
Darth Vader.
or Darth
How they
Vader.
win.
I don't
Or maybe it's Olaf versus a Ewok.
know.
Terry, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna go with Norway.
Why?
They're pretty, they're clean. If I'm going with theming, I
Okay,
like the Norway theming.
So theming though on this aspect is Star Wars isn't supposed to be as clean as Norway is. So the
Right.
Star Wars bathrooms are supposed like they're looking dirty and old. So
But the Norways are pretty. They're pretty. They're cottagey.
Yeah,
They're
you like
just
the
pretty.
blue. I do like the blue color on the doors.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for Star Wars. I'm going to make Rachel pick that. But
Oh
It's
no!
all on you.
Oh
because
no!
I knew I would. I don't know what Rachel's thinking, so I know I'm thinking opposite. So I'm going to make Rachel pick the tiebreaker. But I think Star
Mhm.
Wars is themed better because they are trying to make it look like it's older, and you feel rustic in there with the pipes and everything showing. And like Rachel mentioned, the
There's-
mirrors.
There's no bad answer here.
There
I'm
is a
going-
bad
There's
answer.
no wrong
There is a
answer.
bad answer.
I'm going with Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars, look at you.
Even
Good
though I've
job.
never seen a Star Wars movie, I'm going with Star Wars. I think it just the overall theming just is on point.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, there's really no bad bathrooms in Disney. They usually keep them up great, and they all use their function right. And they go above and beyond. Like you didn't have to make a Tangled bathroom that looks like that. You could have made that
Yeah.
a meet and greet, but you went above and beyond and put Tangled in such a nice place. So Star Wars though is our winner for the best bathroom.
But I think that says a lot about the Imagineers because neither Rachel nor I are Star Wars fans.
Right.
So that just shows you how immersive that part of, Hollywood Studios is that we like it that much.
I didn't put Star Wars in. Like
Yeah,
when we
did.
started talking about it, I did not pick Star Wars because I was thinking about the crowds over in those areas. But I really like Sunset. And that's usually my go-to over there. So as the Star Wars fan, I didn't choose Star Wars, and that the two non-Star Wars fans outvoted the Star Wars fan to get it over there.
We like function.
Yeah.
I also liked how men and women approached bathrooms differently in all of our arguments of which one was better.
That's fun. I think we might do something like this later. Maybe not like March Madness style, but more brackets in the future of best food. And we'll take out flying fish because Rachel would vote that through every round. And it would be for like, what's the best quick service flying fish?
Flying fish.
Best snack flying fish.
Flying fish.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Our next episode, we're going to talk about Disney dining, and hopefully we'll have Micah back. Hopefully she'll be feeling better. If you want to get a hold of any of us, just go to magicaltravel.com. We'll be glad to point you in the right direction to the best bathrooms in the theme parks and Disney Springs, or even in your hotel room. Until then, we will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.